Today we're diving deep into Little Nightmares 3, Bandai Namco's next terrifying entry in the series. This time developed by Supermassive Games. And let me tell you, this one's a wild trip through factories, mirrors and the darkest corners of childhood fears. Don't worry, no spoilers here. Just talking rough story, design, gameplay, sound, and how long it'll take you to survive this nightmare. Let's step into the darkness. Hey everyone, I'm Anka. Welcome back to Rely on Horror. At its core, Little Nightmares 3 is a twisted journey through fear and memory, reminding us on how fear shapes us as children. You'll travel across multiple interconnected surreal realms inside the nowhere. Or better, the spiral in particular here, which is a cluster of dystopian lands. Each one reflecting a distorted fragment of fear, trauma, or memory. From a sandstone wasteland called Necropolis, haunted by a giant baby doll, to a candy factory ruled by a lady who impersonated my biggest phobia, over to a circus full of puppets and monstrous people, all the way through to a somewhat messed up children's home called the Institute. We have to face off the biggest enemy ever seen in the trilogy. You'll know what I'm talking about when you get there. Unlike the first two games, which followed 6 and Mono, Little Nightmares 3 introduces a completely new duo to us. Lo, a quiet and thoughtful boy who carries bow and arrow to aim at objects who are further away, and his friend Alone, a more assertive girl armed with a wrench-like tool to burst down walls and interact with mechanisms. Lo does also have the ability to walk through mirrors, just like Mono from Little Nightmares 2 could do with televisions. Maybe the mirrors from the third game are tied to the end boss lady from the first game, because her appearance didn't match her form seen in the mirror, which was also the way to destroy her, showing her real face with a handheld mirror. The reason why I'm mentioning that is because in the third game we also find little figurines of her all over the place later on, which we can shatter to pieces. Even though we killed her body, maybe her shadow form survived and escaped into the spiral. The game constantly plays with childhood fears like darkness, insects, dolls, puppets and monstrous parental figures, you name it. You'll also experience emotional flashbacks from Lo's past and uncover small clues that hint at who these characters really are. Like the previous games, there's no dialogue. It's all told through atmosphere, animation and sound design. And while you might think you've escaped the nightmare, you probably haven't. Visually, this is the best the series has ever looked, in my opinion. The lighting and shadows are simply gorgeous. Sometimes breathtaking, sometimes horrifying. Each world has its own tone, from hot and sandy outdoor scenes, where your character tries to shield his face from the sandstorm, over to frosty insides, where the character shivers and breathes cold air, to claustrophobic corridors filled with twitching puppets and creeping bugs. There's an incredible amount of environmental feedback. For example, try hopping on a dead rat or a shoe, and it actually squishes or rolls away. You can also pick up many things and carry them around. Sometimes you do need them, but for me in general, that's something I like to do, which freaks Andy out sometimes. I really enjoyed the little details to the animations, like your partner Lo shielding his eyes when you shine the flashlight at him. Really made the world feel alive. And when the environment reacts to destruction, like walls crumbling after the giant baby attacks, it's beautifully gruesome. It's clear that Supermassive put a lot of care into detail, keeping the Little Nightmares style intact while pushing it forward. Also the subtle hints and homage to some iconic movies like Stephen King's It, Resident Evil, Ash vs. Evil Dead and Spirited Away was a really nice touch and made me smile. Now if you've played the previous games, you'll feel right at home. The controls are smoother this time, though jumping and climbing still requires some precise timing occasionally. And yes, it can be frustrating when the angle doesn't quite line up. I had some moments like trying to reach the hook, standing on the stacked tower in the freezer room, or trying to jump over the edge onto a sink, which was hanging from a rope. You're gonna encounter a mix of puzzle solving, stealth and light combat, plus teamwork mechanics playing solo with the AI companion or co-op. And that's one of the biggest changes. The game can be played in single player or online co-op. Playing solo means relying on your AI partner. And while it works surprisingly well, most of the time, There are moments when he just doesn't listen. For example, when he refused to leave a lever for straight 15 minutes, in my case, and didn't react to me calling him over to shoot the button. Another time, and I had that quite often actually, when I entered new rooms as alone, AI stayed behind and didn't follow up until I called him many times, standing at a hedge at the wall, which you have to open together. Or when he doesn't follow you in time and runs in traps, because every time he dies, so do you. Most of the time, your AI companion is really thoughtful, like when staying near you inside the light while avoiding some flesh-eating weevils, or following you real fast or running even before you when you get hunted, and in most of the cases he reacts to calls or even reacts on his own to the situation and finds out what he should do, like shooting objects with his bow in my case. Since I played alone. Got it? Because I played the character alone and I've played all by myself. Otherwise, the pacing, puzzle variety and boss encounters are really solid, with some genuinely nerve-shredding moments, especially against the Candy Factory lady. This is definitely going to haunt me in my dreams for the next nights. Accessibility is also excellent. You can highlight interactables and carryables, antagonists and your own playable character if you want to. Adjust sensitivity, use colorblind mode and tweak the controller vibration. It's a thoughtful update to the series if you need some tips on your surroundings or want to keep your character in the viewer focus. Speaking of tips, the game gives you some subtle hints sometimes on where to go next, if you're lost. Like when you see 2 pairs of tiny white handprints on a door, or when you go into another room and your AI companion doesn't follow. Then you know that you're probably not on the main way anymore, but rather in a dead end. But trust me if I say exploring every corner is worth it. Sound design once again steals the show. Doors creak, floorboards groan, and your tiny footsteps echo through empty halls. You'll hear whispers, crawling insects, and mechanical shrieks that make your skin crawl. The ambient audio alone can build more tension than just any jump scare. You really get some moments that will make you feel uncomfortable. The soundtrack mixes eerie music box tones with distorted lullabies. It's haunting, melancholic, and unforgettable. And in moments of silence, the sound of your own breathing and heartbeat becomes the scariest part. There are a few moments when I really held my own breath. A full playthrough will take you roughly about 6 to 8 hours. You can replay chapters, find collectible dolls, and unlock extra outfits, which you can change through the extras menu. There's even a small hint of 2 possible endings if you collect every doll. Because if you go into chapter select, you see 4 mirrors facing towards you, and beneath that, how many dolls you have collected through each chapter. After the credits, there's a short but emotional epilogue, and a clear tease for maybe a future DLC. I mean, there is this box on the right next to the mirrors in the chapter select saying, Expansion Pass Secrets of the Spiral. And since Secrets of the Spiral is going to be downloadable content for the game, divided into 2 chapters coming between April and June 2026, with the second part following around October to December the same year, it's pretty much obvious that the after credits scene teases us a brief moment of that. Or maybe it just intended to give us some closure about what happened right after the last scene event of the game. We'll see. Little Nightmares 3 feels like the series maturing. It's darker, more emotional, and more cinematic than ever before. Yes, there are small technical issues and a few frustrating jumps, but the creativity, atmosphere, and tension easily outweighs them. And they really nailed the shifting between the past and present in 2 layers during the time in the Institute. If you loved the eerie charm and childhood horror of the previous games, this one's a must-play. Play it with a controller for the best experience, dim the lights, and get ready for one of the most unsettling yet beautiful nightmares of the year. Little Nightmares 3 is coming on October 10th, 2025 to you on Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Switch 2, PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox One and Xbox Series S and X, and of course for PC, which is where I've played it on. The only real question left is, who will survive their nightmare? Let me know your theories down in the comments. What do you think the mirrors truly symbolize? Do you think the lady from the first game somewhat survived and lives in a shadow form in the spiral? Maybe she's the real enemy behind everything that has happened throughout the series. And what are your biggest childhood fears? Would you be willing to encounter them on the screen? If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe for more horror deep dives, and as always, I'll see you in the shadows.